Hello and welcome to the Geek Retreat podcast. I am Lincoln, and to my left, or to the viewer's point the right,
Liam.
Dom.
And today we're going to be talking about live service games. Dom, I remember when we were talking about this idea before, basically last night. Beth asked, "What is a live service game?" So I feel like you, being a probably resident knowledge man, do you want to give a definition of what live service games are?
So, to my understanding, live service games are basically two things. One is a game that constantly requires online connectivity and therefore relies on the publisher running servers. And two, a game that constantly releases updates, whether that's fixes or content, anything like that.
Yeah.
That's basically what a live service game is.
So we can say good examples of that would be, Tom Clancy's Breakpoint and Wildlands, because they have you have to be constantly online for that one.
I think one most people would know is just Fortnite.
Fortnite, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest right now.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 is another good example.
Yeah. The games that we keep going back to.
Yeah, the games that everyone has to keep going back to.
That's it, and it's the way they're designed. It makes you want to play them. It makes you I know there's the new map in the new Overwatch 2 season, isn't it? So it's just things like that. When there's fresh content, it makes you want to go back and play them. It's genius, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it's done right. Yeah.
I think even when it's done badly, you kind of have that FOMO moment of I'll re-download it just to get the latest skins or get, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If you have bad, you purchase things just on a whim that you might go back onto a game and be there oh look, they just got a new skin on. I like this skin, and just buy it. I know Sandra does that a lot for Fortnite. She'll go on and be there there's a new emote, and she'll buy it. And I'll be there what are you doing? We barely go on it anymore.
Yeah,
and I get
supporting the devs.
Support the devs, yeah.
I bought a skin for Casty on Overwatch, so I don't play him. I only bought it because it was a Sherlock Holmes skin.
Yeah, makes sense. Side note on Fortnite purchases, though, I do like what they done with when you buy in sort of skins and that, you can support a content creator.
Yes.
I do like that. Yeah, so when you go onto the store, I think you can save it for 30 days and you can pick a different one. But basically, whenever you buy a battle pass or skin or an emote, anything from the store, you can put in a content creator's name to support them, and part of your payment then will go towards that content creator.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
It's a really good mechanic, and it's a way that people can, most people playing Fortnite are going to get the battle pass kind of thing.
Sure.
But they might not go onto Facebook and buy the Facebook credits to tip their favorite streamers or equivalent with Twitch and things like that. But by doing it that way, they can still support that content creator through a purchase they were going to do anyway.
Yeah.
So I do like that about the Fortnite system.
I know they also do it with the community created maps. That's why sometimes if you play a Fortnite, one of the community created maps, they'll have it'll be there support, the content creator will be there with their support code being there enter this support code or press X on this panel and support me on your next purchase.
Yeah.
So at some point you do see people just making maps on Fortnite and then using that as what goes a second income.
Yeah. That's actually something that I think is a worthwhile topic, is, making purchases, microtransactions in live service games. How do you feel about spending money on a live service game in general, and then also knowing that that's going to eventually die and you'll no longer have those things?
It's debatable for me on a lot of ones, because Apex is a good example of something that I've got a problem with now. I played it on PlayStation. I played it again for those that watched the last episode, dumb amount of hours. And I'm I spent a lot of money on the Battle Pass, and I didn't really buy skins on their own. I just kept buying Battle Pass after Battle Pass. And then when they were there oh, here's this skin that you can earn. It might take 15 hours for you to earn the skin. I spent the 15 hours. I then got an Xbox, swapped over, and they've now got cross progression. So I've lost all of the skins. Well, not lost. I can always go back to PlayStation. But now I don't have any of that content anymore, just because I've had to swap platform. And it's the same with if I had to swap to PC, or even I think it's on Switch as well, isn't it? So if I my thing with buying all of those skins, I'm not too upset about it, but I am sort of there like when I go back onto the game, like because again, like some of the legends I had to earn, I earned all through like free to play. I didn't spend a single money on the legends.
Yeah.
And now I've come back to this new season. I've loaded it up, and they're just there like, oh, you have only the basic legends. You don't have any of the ones that released. If you want to earn that, you have to get, I think it's every 25 levels you can get one. And it would probably be safe to say that since release, there's been maybe 13 legends released.
Sure.
So for me to get back up to being there, like I own all of the legends, if I wanted to do it quickly, I'd have to spend money. And I'm there like, no. Because even though Apex has been around for 3 years, with where you're saying, how do you feel that knowing the game's going to die at some point?
Yeah.
Unless it's League of Legends or something and it ends up immortal. Yeah. But again, like, I'm very wary of it now. Because I see Battle Pass skins and my girlfriend will be there like, oh yeah, like, we should just get the Battle Pass. Go onto it and get something new. And I'm just there like, no.
Yeah.
Because what if I don't play this game in like 2 months? That's still like money wasted.
What gets me is the hold that cosmetic items have over people. In that, because I think everyone's guilty of it at some point, because I've done it as well, where like, because it doesn't actually do anything for your performance, and if you didn't have it, it's especially in first-person shooter games, you barely see it. But it's one of those things where it's like, even if, like, even though you never see it and it doesn't add anything to performance, there's just something about you that, like, there's something that's, like, switch inside you. You're like, I really need that.
Yeah.
Because, like, I play Lucio in Overwatch, and I very rarely buy skins for it, because, again, it's one of those things I'm like, it doesn't bother me, it doesn't affect me. And then I saw one skin in the shop that was, like, Hermes, the Greek god, and I was like, I gotta buy that now, haven't I? And I think I spent, like, a tenner on it.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it. So the first time I played Dota, I was like, this is cool. And then before I even played my second game, I was like, what cosmetics are there? And I spent, like, my first purchase on Dota was a £25 cosmetic for Crystal Maiden. I was like, cool.
I think for cosmetics, though, I think what plays a big part into it as well is the cosplay community. Because I do see, as soon as, like, a new skin comes out, they're like, oh my god, I'm going to cosplay that. And then they buy the skin, and you see them cosplaying it. People see that, like, them doing that, and they're like, oh, what skin's that? They're like, oh, it's this one. They're like, oh, that's cool. And they'll go off and probably buy it or something like that. Like, I think that contributes a lot to it. But I think there's just this, it's also when you see a new skin, you're like, oh, it's new. Yeah. I want this.
Yeah. It's the new shiny thing, isn't it?
I've definitely been guilty of spending copious amounts of money on cosmetics in Counter-Strike. You know, I've flat out purchased like knife skins and stuff, which are the most expensive ones for anyone who doesn't play Counter-Strike.
Could you give me a number for that? Like, just what a single knife skin?
Oh, it ranges so much. Like,
really?
Even the shittiest ones, the ones that are barely even like coloured or anything, are like a minimum 80 quid.
Counter-Strike's a bit different, though, in the fact that you can sell your skins, can't you?
Yes, you can. There is.
I can't think of any other. Correct me if I'm wrong, mate. I can't think of any other live service game off the top of my head that lets you sell skins.
So Dota
Dota
does the same, but honestly, like, I look at the Dota store sometimes, like the player-run store, and I swear, like, it's a drug front. Honestly, because you have one cosmetic that's sort of, they have different color variants on, like, the same cosmetic, basically. So you'll have one which is like 3 pence, and then you'll have a different color variant which is like £600.
Oh my god!
Oh, wow.
Like, honestly, like some of the, like, the Arcana and stuff in Dota is really expensive anyway, and because it's exclusive to seasonal chests that are really limited, and like the higher end, really sort of coveted cosmetics are sort of protected in this bubble of, like, it's going to retain value.
Yeah.
But yes, some of the prices on there are just crazy, crazy for, like, a headpiece that glows red.
Yeah.
It's like £300.
I just thought of a weird one, right? And it's something that doesn't make any sense to me at all. But everyone was up in arms about it when Overwatch 2 released.
Okay.
So obviously, people who play the game like nearly 24/7. By the time Overwatch 2 released, they'd already unlocked everything basically. But so what they started doing is they started just hoarding chests.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they're
yeah.
the boxes that like when you open them it gives you like a random, because they already had everything. So they just started hoarding all these chests, right? Just to be like, oh yeah, I've got this many loot boxes. And when Overwatch 2 started, it automatically opened all of them for you.
Never.
Yeah.
And people were freaking out. But it was like, I don't understand why people are hoarding them, because it doesn't give you anything extra. I think it's just the thing of being like, oh look, I've got all of this.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes
that was something that I didn't understand at all.
I was gonna say, sometimes it is about the bragging rights though, because if like Overwatch stayed with its loot box system, if you had 999 loot boxes, then when they were there like, we've released another 25 cosmetics, you were there like, I'm gonna get those for free because I have 999 loot boxes.
Yeah.
But now that they've all opened it up, they just gave you, what was it, legacy credits, wasn't it?
No idea.
I think Overwatch 2, you have legacy credits, but why they probably freaked out more is that when you go to Overwatch 2, those legacy credits can only be used for buying the old skins.
Yeah.
So you just got a sea of useless credits on your hand.
Oof.
Because you can't buy it. If you've unlocked everything, what are you going to buy with all of that credit?
So that's the one thing with Overwatch 2 at the moment, because I know it's free now. And when a game's free, I'm more inclined to spend money on like skins and stuff like that. But what I did like about the first Overwatch is that you could just play it. Like I was just playing it casually, and I was earning enough money to like in it to like buy a skin that I wanted every now and again. Whereas in the new one, it's mainly battle pass based. You still get credits, but you mainly get the credits off the battle pass.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, you could just earn it by playing the game.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like, I'll only buy a battle pass if I see anything in there that I like. And if it's below a certain level. Because I know I'm never going to finish a battle pass because I play it just casually. But even though I play it like maybe once or twice a week, I still find I get a decent way through the battle pass that I can kind of justify buying it.
Yeah.
It's like eight quid it is.
Yeah, something like that. It's not too expensive.
What are your guys' opinions on battle passes?
I'm okay with it. So I'm of the opinion, very much same as you, if a game is free, I'm happy to support it. If I'm going to play a free game and I'm going to get, I don't know, 50 hours a month out of it, just casual play or even competitive play where I'm just kind of chilling and it's passing the time, I'm happy to give them £8 of that. Because you imagine, like, what could you do with your day where you pay £8 and you get, say, 2 days worth of an event for £8? You know, you go somewhere for £8, you spend your day doing something for 2 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in terms of what you get for the money, I think it's really good value. And I think that's true of most battle passes. And with the game itself being free, I'm more than happy to support it. But that's my kind of take on it.
I think you had a good point with the what are you going to spend with £8 on a 2-day event. It's a good way to look at it.
Take you 2 days to finish up battle pass.
Well, no,
no, but if you play it for like, I don't know, 40 to 50 hours over the duration of the battle pass, for example, like, depending on what game it is, I'd put a lot more in, or I might only pick her up now and again and sort of play a lot more casually. But like Overwatch, for example, if I take a week off work and play Overwatch religiously for the week, which I may or may not have done before, like £8 for that and all the unlocks and things, like I'm more than happy to support it.
Yeah. What about you, Don?
So I agree with Liam in that supporting the devs is a good thing. I think from my perspective, I almost wish you got something more, or there were better ways to support the devs where you could get something more, like maybe something physical. Like I think it would be nice to see more like merch stores and stuff, so that you know, being as it's all live service and eventually it'll disappear, and battle passes are time limited by their nature. And, you support the devs by paying your £8 and you get an amount of cosmetics which actually do nothing for you except bragging rights.
Yeah.
I think I would rather see something a bit longer lasting.
Do you mean like an in-game merch store kind
No,
of?
he means a
I mean,
real
physical.
life.
Real life.
No, I mean like Xbox Marketplace. You can buy physical stuff off the Xbox Marketplace.
Oh no, I think a good example.
Sure.
I think a good example of what he means is the Apex has their own sort of merch store where you can buy like Apex mugs, buy Apex t-shirts. You can get like Apex phone cases and stuff. Is that more inaccurate?
Yeah.
So,
So
like-
I think
what I mean
that
is,
being in game or outside of game.
yeah,
I
that's what I
think
mean. It's
I do mean in game,
Yeah.
as in like an alternative to what they're promoting, because they're pushing the battle pass to you while you're in game,
Yeah.
which makes sense because that's what gives them the most money. But I think it would be nice to see an alternative storefront that's there, like, hey, if you don't want to just get digital only stuff, maybe buy one of these. And if those items are maybe like price lifted, and upmarked a bit, then maybe they also come with one of the digital only benefits. Say your plushie is £30, but it's actually on the in-game storefront it's £40, but comes with a battle pass.
Yeah.
For me, that feels a bit better because I'm getting something in the mail. I'm getting something that I'll physically have, and then I'm not going to feel bad about the digital only thing that's time limited.
What I think would be quite fun is like a point system. So there was I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been, was it Nickelodeon? It was one of the kids' channels when I was younger growing up. And you could go to the website, play their games, and like interact with their content and things. And you doing points, then you could redeem those points for like physical product.
Okay, yeah.
And the one thing I got, like I didn't play it religiously or like sort of farm these points as such. It was just I used to play a couple of the games now and again. And I remember I redeemed the points for a Wanted CD. Remember the band, The Wanted?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So, and I was like, oh, cool. If it doesn't turn up, it hasn't cost me anything, but it did turn up. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And got a CD just for sort of chilling and playing games, doing absolutely nothing. But I think it'd be kind of cool to see that kind of system implemented. So, like, so you buy the Battle Pass. Part of the Battle Pass is like a storefront redemption point.
Yeah.
And different things cost different amounts of points.
Yeah.
Like, something like that could be cool.
Yeah.
I think the way they get you though in a lot of these things is so I noticed it with Overwatch and is same with like Call of Duty and all of them basically. Same with Apex. If I have 500 coins and the skin itself is 1,000, I go on the storefront to buy coins and the lowest amount I can buy is 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't like just use the coins and then buy the exact amount, and that's the most annoying thing about for me for like cosmetics and stuff is that I can never just pay the amount for the cosmetic. I have to buy these coins.
That's what's good with Steam though, and Steam transactions, anything through the Steam interface, because you've got like the presets, like your £4, your £5, your £10. You can do that if you wanted to load money onto your account. But they do just show you this is what's in your wallet. This is the difference. There is just a button to pay the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite nice for like the Steam
I
transaction.
think that's good. That actually overrides the minimum transaction as well. Like if it's only 50p difference between what you've got, they'll allow you to just pay that 50p.
I've got a question just for everyone basically. So at what point because you said that you believe like live service games like having like free like content and like updates and everything like that. At what point because I don't think a live service game has to be connected to online all the time. I think it's something that you can play on your own, offline. Because Assassin's Creed Valhalla, since it's released, it's been supported for 2 years. They've added, I think, 4 or 5 extra game modes, all this extra content. It has microtransactions as well. At what point do you think that becomes a live service game?
At the point
because it has a full story mode that you can go through, but it had all this. It had river raids added on, so it was like a whole extra map that was just basically you go around on your boat just raiding, and it was like, it was all random, and then when you come back, it's all respawned and you can raid it again.
Yeah,
and then they added arenas, mastery challenges. They just added a roguelike one. Where again, every time you come back, everything's random and you can't keep anything when you leave and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I think for me, I think that feels more DLC than sort of like live support. I think the live support bit, if the game goes down for server maintenance, that is a live support game. For me, that feels DLC, which I totally agree. Kind of feels the same. Like I get why the comparison's being made.
I would say
the two.
it's not DLC though, because I didn't have a choice to download any of that. It came on an update.
That's just free DLC with
Yeah.
less user choice there,
I would
in my opinion.
I would argue the storefront on Valhalla is the live service part, because you have that storefront on all Ubisoft games now, of where they're like, hey, you can buy Ezio to run around in Valhalla. You can buy the Ezio skin, or you can buy for your horse. You can buy it that he has Pegasus wings and stuff. But if the internet dropped, you lose that storefront. You can't access that storefront. So if Ubisoft were there like, cool, we're stopping all services for Valhalla now. If you bought a brand new Valhalla disc and you got all of the updates and stuff, then you would still probably get the roguelite and all that aspect and stuff. You would not get anything else from the storefront though. So you might go over to your friend's house and be there like, you've got a Pegasus skin on your horse. How did you get that? And they'd be there like, I bought it on the online store, but you can't access that anymore. And that's probably where the live service part comes in. Because the moment that the server is down, you can't access it. And that's the live service part. For me personally.
Is that the same with Destiny 2? Because that's considered a live service game.
Yeah, I think so.
Destiny 2 can only be played multiplayer, is my understanding. Like, you can play it by yourself, but it's always connected to the online servers. There are always other people in the world. So, yeah, as soon as those servers go down, Destiny 2 is dead.
Would you say it's would you say Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a live service light, or
I would say it has live service elements.
Diet live service, maybe? No, I was just wondering because, like, for me, because that's all I heard throughout that entire thing. People were like, "Oh my god, they're making Assassin's Creed live service." So I was like, maybe there's some sort of weight behind that, because, like I said, it's a lot of free content drops. They had all these events as well.
Yeah.
So Easter, they had like whatever the name for Viking Easter was, like the pagan Easter celebration, and then Christmas time they had the Yuletide event where you could like do different games around your settlement, and it gives you a certain type of currency. Yeah. And then you can only spend that at the vendor to get like new cosmetics and stuff like that. Because all that seems very live service to me.
Yeah,
it pretty much is.
It feels very much the same. So like Final Fantasy XIV would do exactly the same with like seasonal events. EVE Online would do the same with seasonal events. But I think the difference is that you get that update, you can pull your Ethernet cable out and still play that content. I think that's literally where the line gets drawn. If you can play it offline, it's not live service, even though it has that kind of feel to it. Yeah, that's where I think that line is, for me anyway.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think as well, sometimes with like live service games, the way that they get you is basically stuff like the Battle Pass. Because I know when we used to play Rogue Company, and even now with stuff like Fortnite and Apex, if I don't buy the Battle Pass, I have no desire to play the game basically most of the time. I'll like get home and I'll be there like, oh man, I need to make a new Magic the Gathering deck because I know some guys are coming down on Wednesday, so I need to build a deck. It's Tuesday. And Sandra will be like, you want to come on Fortnite? And I'm like, no, I need to edit my 12 decks. But the moment...
I was going to say, like, to be fair, with the Battle Pass, I feel like without the Battle Pass now, the game feels like it lacks achievement.
Yes.
Like, there's no fulfillment. Like, even if you get that Victory Royale or, like, you get the win, like, it feels less if you're not unlocking, like, you're not getting an actual reward for it. So I think that's what, because, funny enough, I hadn't played Overwatch for a little while, because I've been so busy with the shop, but I logged in and there was 2 days left on the Battle Pass.
Ooh.
And I go anyway.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm going to be playing this for like 2 days. Only a couple of hours in the evening, but I knew I was jumping on my friends that I hadn't played with for a while, so I knew we were going to be spending a couple of hours on there. But I knew that my enjoyment of that game wouldn't be the same if I hadn't sort of
because you would have
got those extra levels on the Battle Pass. Yeah.
That's interesting because specifically Overwatch, I think, had a good system for making you want to play when it was just Overwatch 1.
Yeah.
Because you would just get free loot boxes every now and again for reaching certain milestones.
Yeah.
So there was always a reason to play.
Which
You
is the
didn't have
equivalent.
to
Yeah.
have a battle
I
pass.
think Overwatch, though, is a much more focused experience instead of like Apex is, again, Apex is what it is, and like it's just a battle royale. But I find Overwatch is quick and like not always. Like, if you're stuck in a stalemate for a long time, but it's very like quick and snappy games. That's what I like about it, in that I don't get stuck in a game too long. Whereas in Apex, if I manage to survive to the end, I'm like, let's go for this like 30 minutes. Like I want to, like, I can't, like, if I was like, oh, I gotta meet Lincoln in 30 minutes, I was like, but I can't just jump into a game of Apex, because if I start somehow, by the grace of God, doing good, I'm going to be late. Whereas in Overwatch, I can like jump in and I can either win in 10 or like get my ass handed to me in 5. Like,
Yeah.
What I think Overwatch has got going for as well, it has quite a lot of custom game modes.
Yeah.
And you got the rotated ones as well. So like, if you have just got like 5 minutes and you just want to shoot some people, you can just jump on the like 4v4 team deathmatch.
I played Low Gravity the other day,
Oh, I do.
and I was just having a ball just doing that. Like,
Yeah.
or the at the moment they got the 4v4 Hanzo
Oh,
game mode at the moment. Where
why?
everyone's like Valentine's Day, like Cupid Hanzo.
Oh, I did. I've seen that.
But like, yeah, I think that's where I think a lot of live service games they tend to be too open for me to enjoy. But it's open but empty.
Yeah.
Like not to bring up the dreaded name, but Anthem, right? Anthem, the gameplay was quite fun. I quite enjoyed it. It really scratched an itch for me in terms of like, what would an Iron Man game be like? But it really scratched that sort of itch for me. But it was, again, you go into the open world and you've got this whole map. But when you go into the open world, it's got like little tiny random mechanics, but there's nothing else to do there. It's literally you just go out, you kill enemies, you come back.
Yeah.
It's, for an open world, that's not something that I particularly want in like a live service game. But whereas with Overwatch, because it's just smaller, and even with Apex, even though I don't like it, because it's smaller scale, you know what you're there to do. It holds me a bit more. Whereas Anthem, I sort of played it for a couple of weeks. I was like, once the novelty of like flying around in an Iron Man suit wore off, I was kind of like, oh, I'm out now.
Yeah.
See you.
Live service PvE is very hard to do right.
Yeah.
Because an example of live service PvE games that sort of work is basically just gacha games. Because an example of Genshin Impact, every like new update, they're like, oh, we've given you new stories, new characters, we've given you like the main plot thread of this game is now moving forward. We've given you different game modes because Genshin has now dipped their toe into a trading card game, so they've added that into a mainstream for it. So you can actually just go in and just play a trading card game with your favorite characters.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but that's the thing of a lot of these live service games. The really good ones, I feel, go the full way. Again, Genshin, apparently in the next update for Genshin, they're just basically ripping off League of Legends for a new game mode.
Really?
So they're just putting it as, again, it's just a side game mode. They're like, here's an event, it's League of Legends, but with your characters. And it's like, everyone's there like, I'm excited to try this.
Yeah.
Fortnite, I think, is another one that, because they've gone the full way, they have basically had years to develop it. But they went the full way with it. You can now buy the Fortnite Crew Pass, which is about £1 more expensive than the Battle Pass, but it gives you a new skin every month, 1,000 V-Bucks, the Battle Pass, and a bunch of other cosmetics. And you just spend £10 a month, and they're just, that is amazing, because that's how they're getting like all of the kids onto it. Because they just, Mum, can you buy me Fortnite Crew? And the mums are like, oh, I don't know. And they say like, but it gives me the battle pass every time. And then the mum thinks about it and goes, oh, actually,
it makes sense.
Yeah,
it totally makes sense for them.
I know. Again, like I went onto it at one point and there was like one skin. It just looked really good, and I went, you know what? I'm buying Fortnite Crew. And they would say like, hey, you bought Fortnite Crew. You've got Fortnite Save the World as well. So it gave you the additional game for free on with it as well. And I was just like, oh. That's interesting. I didn't realize it would give you that.
I still haven't played it.
Yeah.
Still haven't played it.
But
me neither.
It's pretty alright. It's not something that's gonna ever like come back. It's basically dead in the water now. But Fortnite as well, I think another good thing that they do with the battle pass, because again, if you get Fortnite Crew and you get the 1,000 V-Bucks in the battle pass. In the battle pass you can earn 1,500 V-Bucks, including the battle pass stuff, which has licensed characters. This season had Doom Guy, so any Doom fans here will be there like, also I can play Doom Guy in Fortnite. Witcher fans will love the fact that Geralt is in it. So, and they put like a bunch of event stuff. So if you bought the battle pass and you played it, I think it started last week, they were basically like, oh, you can earn all of these like cosmetics now just by doing events in the game. They also were there like, hey, if you come to the Fortnite website and sign up your email onto the Fortnite website, you can also take part in all of these other Witcher-related events and get all of these other Witcher-related cosmetics. And how they got you with any Witcher fans was they gave you the steel sword for the in-game events, but you had to go on the internet to get the silver sword because Geralt uses 2 swords.
Right.
So that's how they were trapping you to be there. Like if you were a Witcher fan, you've got to come over here to get both of the swords. But because they're going the full length with it, giving you licensed characters, giving you basically the V-Bucks back for buying the battle pass and more. Because I don't like I think it was Overwatch, where they were like, oh, here's the battle pass. You spent you had to buy 1,000 like Overwatch tokens. Then you spent the 1,000 Overwatch tokens on the battle pass, and there was no Overwatch tokens in the battle pass, so you don't even earn the tokens back. They just gave you cosmetics. And I know, like, you might defend it, but let me just throw out this point. Nearly every other good battle pass that has ever come out gives you that money back. Yeah. So you even in Apex, they'll be there like, you spent 1,000 Apex coins on this battle pass, you will get 1,100 back. It's not 1,500, but they give you 1,100 back. Same with Call of Duty will give you 1,400 back after spending 1,000. That means that if you bought that and then you finish the battle pass, you never have to spend any money on the game again in order to get the rest of the battle passes. As long as they were there, like you dedicate your time to it.
So how do you think they're making money off you then?
Microtransactions. They still release more content than is available, so the additional, like, the rotating skins in Fortnite, yes, you could get enough money back to get the battle pass, but guarantee you that there's a skin in the store that you still want to buy.
Sure. Okay.
An example would be with Fortnite that they were there like, say like you were doing the thing of saving up for the next battle pass. They'd be there like, oh, we just dropped the Ariana Grande skin. It's 1,500 Fortnite coins. If you finish the battle pass at this point, you have 1,500 Fortnite coins. Okay. You buy the skin because you say to yourself, I'm just going to spend a tenner next month anyway. It's that simple. Okay. They throw in a different skin that is worth the amount to get you to just keep buying it. But that's what I mean. Like Fortnite has that as their base, and Fortnite have been doing the battle pass the longest. And sometimes you'll just see games will come out with their battle pass and be there like, oh, you buy £10, you get like 50 cosmetics. And you're like, okay, do I get anything else? Because Fortnite has 100, then the additional 25 that release halfway through, then the licensed character attached to the battle pass. Because I think at one point it was like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And then after you've done that, they're like, oh, have you really dedicated enough time to get 125 levels in the battle pass? Wow. Here's an additional 100 levels that you can get all of the skins that you've just already unlocked, but just recolors of them.
Yeah, just alts.
Just all of these different alts until you get to like level 250. So they're like, if you are that much, you want to dedicate your time to Fortnite that much, they give you a reason to. And I think that puts a lot of contrast on other live service games of where they just say like, here's the game, here's 50 levels and a battle pass. That's good enough, right? And people are there like, this game has no content in it. And people will be there like, but it does, it's the game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of live service games are starting to like realize that it can't really just be held up by the game itself sometimes, unless it's like a really good game. Because as much as a load of people will be there like, Fortnite's dead or Fortnite's a bad game, it is actually a good game.
Yeah.
They have the community and the devs themselves have worked a lot on the game, and it is an exceptional game.
No, I totally agree. So my question then is like, what do you think the future of live service looks like right now?
Right now, I'm thinking the biggest players will be in, say, like Battle Royale will be like Fortnite and Apex. The biggest players in fighting live service will probably be Brawlhalla, because Brawlhalla's a live service, isn't it?
Yes.
I can't think of any other live service fighting games that are doing well at the very least.
Well, yeah, let's not bring up Multiverses.
No, Multiverses is basically dead.
Isn't the new Street Fighter supposed to be?
I don't know if it's supposed to be live service. I don't know if it's free on release. So it'd be very weird if they're like, it's a live service game, but you're paying 60 quid out the door.
Yeah.
There's some games have done it. Again, Ubisoft have done it with the Ghost Recon games, but again, it had a massive
I
backlash.
wouldn't say they're live service.
What about MMOs? World of Warcraft.
MMOs of World of Warcraft.
Definitely live service.
Definitely live service. Destiny.
I read an article.
60 quid.
I don't know how true it is, but World of Warcraft is kind of like losing a lot of its community right now. And it's all moving to Final Fantasy.
Oh, really?
So Final Fantasy community is like thriving right now on Final Fantasy 14 just because of the level of support they are getting, like the development they're putting into the game still. But like I said, numbers wise and what the movement looks like and sort of player bases and that, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I was reading an article that World of Warcraft is getting significantly, like noticeably smaller, while Final Fantasy is just booming right now.
Will have Final Fantasy be one of the big players as well then?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Live service. I think another one of people don't pay attention to on live service is the card game ones.
Yes.
Because they're basically live service. Magic the
they
Gathering Arena is doing all right. But I think that's because Wizards has been there like, forget about Magic Online. Come over here to Arena. And then you got, the Pokemon one is exceptional.
They've just gone to a new system now.
Yeah, I did. Sandra said to me, she was there like, oh, they're not supporting the old system anymore. And I was just saying like, oh, they're on the new one officially now. But again, I think Pokemon's interesting because I guess they only make it their money through the actual TCG, like the real life version of it.
Yeah.
Because you can't really spend money on the live service one online.
No.
You can't give them money directly.
Yeah. You have
just through online.
You have to give them your time. Off eBay. Yeah. Or buy codes off eBay. And
buy single packs. Like I know there's people that go out of their way to pick out an extra couple of packs because they're chasing that card to complete their online deck.
Yep.
Like that happens.
But that's an interesting way that Pokemon does it.
Yeah.
But yeah, card game live service makes sense. That'll be a big player for ages.
Yeah.
Because it's the easiest to do. I think as much as a load of gamers will hate it, I think gacha games will keep going strong. But as long as, because there's a newer one that they released called Tower of Fantasy, like a different development team released. And a load of people have jumped onto that basically.
Okay.
And a lot of people seem to like the idea of sort of like spending their time playing a game that they like, but earning a load of stuff out of it.
Can you explain what a gacha game is? Because when I think of a gacha game, it's those things in there where you like twist it and the ball comes out.
The best way to describe a gacha game is whenever you get your like the new updates and stuff, they'll be there like, oh, here's a brand new character. We introduce, hot anime man has just walked through the door. You want this character because he's got the best stats. Instead of you buying the character outright, they're like, cool, roll on a slot machine for him.
Oh, right, okay.
And that's how you get them. So gacha games are basically loot boxes, but loot boxes were sometimes bad because they didn't really tell you what the probability was. Gacha games sometimes will flip between they don't tell you what the probability is, and they will just strictly tell you this is the probability of what you'll be getting. Everyone likes more of the gacha games where they're like, oh, you need to do like 90 wishes in order to get this character. But a lot of the time, gacha games are seen as bad because it's quite predatory, because it's basically gambling.
Yeah.
And for people that have like bad impulses or no self-control, it is basically a very slippery slope. Because I know when I was playing Genshin, I had to basically tell myself, I'm not going to spend money on this. Because the moment I go, it's fine, I'll just spend 80 quid to get 40 wishes. And then if I roll those 40 wishes and not get the character I want, then that's another 80 quid going into the game.
Yeah.
Because go on.
Slight sidetrack. In terms of gambling, do you remember a couple of years ago there was a big stink made up about Counter-Strike having a massive problem with like gambling in their skins?
Yes.
Hasn't actually gone away.
Is it not?
Oh, really?
It's still rampant. And it's a huge problem because the barrier to entry is Counter-Strike, which is now free, and skins, which you can just buy the loot boxes. There's no age restriction on that.
Yeah.
And the gambling sites don't really ask you for proof.
Isn't that why though? Because there was a whole thing about loot boxes in general being considered gambling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that
there's a big
because
thing.
I'm thinking about it now, and there's not a lot of games now that I can think of off the top of my head that I used to play that have loot boxes.
Mm.
Apex still kind of has them.
Yeah, Apex still kind of
But do you
has
think
them.
that's why they've leaned
But-
more towards battle passes now? Because
Yeah.
technically
Um,
that's not considered gambling because you know what you're going to get in it. Just have to work towards it.
Yeah, a lot of the EU, I don't think they went to battle passes because of it, because they've had battle passes before it. But a lot of the EU countries have basically been there like loot boxes bad.
Yeah.
So they've been moving away from them, which is
Yeah.
surprising that Apex still has it.
Can you buy them though?
Just the packs or the skins?
The loot boxes. 'Cause
Yeah, you can.
You can still buy them.
You can still buy like 10 loot boxes, I believe.
Yeah.
France specifically tried to lock down loot boxes.
Yeah.
And basically said that you have to know what you're going to get at the end of making the transaction. That is something really interesting for that country in specific,
Yeah.
of where basically you have, like, I think it's like a magnifying glass in game, but you put one loot box into it and you can see what you're going to get from that loot box. But in order to put another one in there, you have to purchase that loot box. So you know exactly what you're going to get, but you have to complete that purchase before you can put another one in there.
No.
So they've just completely worked around
So it makes
anyway.
no difference then.
Yeah, absolutely zero.
Wow. Okay.
The only difference is that if you've never spent money on the game, you can put your first loot box in, and if you decide that you no longer want to do it because you know you're getting garbage, then you can stop at that point. But otherwise, you're
Yeah.
only ever a
Because what
transaction
happened
behind
with
yourself.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 is they completely took away the ability to buy a loot box.
Yeah.
Because so much fuss was kicked up over it.
Yeah.
You could still unlock them in game through progression, but you could never pay money for them again.
I just realized Apex did it with one country. I don't know what it was, but I remember seeing a video about it, and a load of people were there like, they actually prefer this. The Battle Pass has loot boxes in it. So, but one country, they weren't allowed loot boxes. It was just a zero tolerance to it, none. So Apex were like, instead, we'll put crafting materials in instead that equal up to the amount of a loot box. So it was like, you could get from a battle pass, I think it's 1,200 crafting materials, but because of this ruling, it was up to about 3,600. And the reason why that was, people were liking that more, was it was like after 8 or 9 battle passes, you had enough crafting material to craft an entire event selection, which could get you an heirloom. And for the uninitiated for Apex, an heirloom costs, because you have to buy an entire Apex event worth in order to get the heirloom, and an heirloom is just basically a melee item in game. It's just a cosmetic. But that cosmetic would set you back 250 quid. Just, yeah. And there are so many people that have all of them. So they've spent upwards of 2,500 to 4,000 pounds on just the events alone to get the heirloom shards for it. and it's bad.
Point of curiosity, how much would 10 battle passes cost you?
10 battle passes would cost you £100.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's an entirely you. If you had spent the amount of time to complete all 10 battle passes, and you're playing for free. For an example, I didn't get my first heirloom shards because in Apex they were there. Like if you open 500 Apex packs, you would get you would get a guaranteed heirloom. So you get your first ever heirloom. I had played it from season 2 upwards to season 12 or 13. I think it was season 13 I got. And that's when I got my first heirloom. So it is basically 10 battle passes worth. So I would have had 2 heirlooms at that point if it was the same system of just crafting materials instead of Apex packs.
Yeah.
Which is a very interesting way to look at it.
Going to a different topic, still on live service. What do you think, going back to like live service games all eventually dying, sort of, in terms of like showing people later what these games are like, how does that make you feel? Like I suppose I'll rephrase it slightly. Have you ever been shown a game by someone older than you? Is they're like, hey, look at this old game, I really like this. You're like, oh, that's cool. I have, like, my parents showed me games that they played when they were kids. It's like, oh, this is cool.
So you mean like not being able to actually go back and play it?
I'm saying this is a problem that we haven't actually experienced that much yet because only a few live service games that are popular have died. I think it's a shame that you know, when I'm a bit older and, you know, hopefully one day, you know, have kids and that, I'm not going to be able to show them all of these games.
Yeah,
I get that. I do think there'll always be a game now that's like, if Fortnite dies, there will be a successor to Fortnite.
Sure.
And I think the staples in the live service sort of offering that we see now will still be around in one sort of kind of shape or form later on down the line. But yeah, I know that's a tough one.
With constant updates though, it's not going to be the same.
No.
Like I get what you're saying, like there's going to be AN Battle Royale in 50 years.
Yeah.
Sure, it's an established genre. There will be one.
Yeah.
It won't be Fortnite.
No.
You won't be able, like if that Battle Royale doesn't have a building system and none of the other ones do anymore because everyone decided it's universally hated, how are you going to show someone?
Yeah.
You can show them.
That is the, like, if you had to pick, that is the biggest drawback of, or the biggest sort of negative of a live service game, is that once it is gone, it is gone. Because Apex Mobile's shutting down, isn't it?
Yes.
And everyone's up in arms about that because they're like, oh, well, I just spent all this money on it and now it's gone.
Interesting thing for the Apex Mobile as well, they brought in 2 characters for Apex Mobile that are only on Apex Mobile. They gave you heirlooms specific for those characters that is only on Apex Mobile. And I think the game's been alive for 9 months.
Yeah.
And they're now going, we're stopping service for it.
Jeez.
Yeah. So again, remember that when I said it was £250 for an heirloom, it didn't drop in price for the Apex Mobile. These people have spent upwards of £700 on the content, and it's dead.
Like, you unlock cosmetics in any game. But say, for instance, I really got into like a live service game. I've spent over, say, the 4 or 5 years, maybe longer, that it was up. I've spent, say a conservative figure, say 500 quid.
Yeah.
Say I spent all that money on it, and then one day they go, oh yeah, we're shutting it down now. And now everything I've unlocked in it, like even if it was, say, for instance, you know, you didn't have to be connected to the internet for it, and we still consider that a live service game. And they're like, you can still play it. There's just not going to be any updates. You can't play with anyone. You'll still have all your stuff in it. But it's the fact that once it's shut down, that's it. Can't do anything else with it. It's like you unlock cosmetics in any game. Like I can unlock cosmetics in, I keep going back to it because the only game I think off the top of my head is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I can unlock cosmetics, armor pieces in that. And I can be like, oh, the new one's come out. I'll give that one away. I don't want it anymore. But if I want, at any point, I can pay for that game again. Yeah. Go back and play it.
Yeah.
And
stop working hard on a disc.
But with live service, even live service games that come on disc, like Anthem comes on a disc, Destiny you can get on disc. You can have the disc and it's worthless.
Yeah, absolutely. So the follow-up question is then, and a quick side question: does Dota 2 have custom server support? Like, can you play like on a server that someone else is running?
No.
Okay, fine.
Doesn't.
Then I can only talk about CS:GO and TF2 specifically.
That's what some of the older Battlefield games, they live and die off of their custom servers, don't they?
Yeah, there's
Still
loads of
run them,
games
yeah.
like that. CS:GO, TF2, Battlefield. I think some of the old Halo games. Doom, original Doom. You can still play that online, like if you try really hard. A better example would be Quake. Actually, like Quake 3, there's still a community for Quake 3. People still play it because it was only ever custom servers that ran on for Quake 3. My understanding. Do you think that changes it? Like, if I take CS:GO as a specific example, in 50 years' time, CS:GO, you probably won't be able to buy skins. You probably won't be able to access your inventory, but you will still be able to play the core game. You will still be able to connect to custom servers, and some custom servers actually allow you to spoof skins. So you'll still actually be able to show off some of these things. Do you think that's different?
I would say yes, but only if the actual game itself is a fun experience. If you're someone who plays that game because you actually like the game, that can be good for you. If you always see people that like, oh, I hate this game, but I gotta unlock this skin.
Yeah.
If that's your mentality playing the game, that's worthless.
Yeah, I actually think that's a worthless gaming experience in general. I don't see value in playing a game for that reason.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
I think it jumps back to, that access would be cool for like nostalgia or kind of just a once in a blue moon to scratch an itch.
Yeah.
But I think without any reward from playing it, because of the lack of support at that point, I think it becomes meaningless then.
It almost sounds like for people who play a lot of live service games, gaming has evolved to the point of where you need to earn something from the game to make it worthwhile. You can't just play a game just for the fun of it. Because if you were going to play a game just for the fun of it, you'd probably play a lot of single player games more, unless you were 100% you wanted to compete against another person.
I think I'm in that boat with shooters.
Then,
like any live service shooter, I don't play them for the cosmetics. I play them because I want to get a headshot on someone.
Yeah.
Like I the value that I get out of Overwatch, I'm never going to buy a battle pass because I don't care. I just want to shoot people.
a dying breed there, Dom. Your little vanguard.
Just want to dunk on
Just
people.
want to dunk on
Yeah, I
users.
just want to dunk on people. I just want to prove I'm a better gamer than you.
Can I jump onto something quick? Because I remember you said that you show your kids something of the game.
Yeah.
But I think with live service games, it's not the same game. Because to go to Apex again, I remember I played it with Sandra the other day, and basically I started again. Sandra's on an account that has like 4 or 5 hours on it. We paired up for the first time, and the game went, "This is your champions," and it was Apex Predators that had over 5,000 hours in the game. And I was like, I'm literally just starting. Like, again, what the hell? Sandra was then complaining that she was there like, I can't keep up with this lobby. I don't want to play this game anymore. And I was like, it's not the same as how Apex was back in season 3. And I feel like a lot of live service games are like that. Because again, with Overwatch, people will be there like, Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch 1.5. But Overwatch 1 is completely different to Overwatch 2 because Kiriko wasn't there. Neither was Junker Queen. Neither is, who's the new one, Ramatra.
Yeah.
Those characters weren't there. In Overwatch 1, their problem was, at one point, was goats because of Brigitte coming in. But Brigitte was something that was updated into the game.
Yeah.
And people were, all scared of Dive at one point. People that played Overwatch from the beginning, they will be there like, Overwatch was very good at this point.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like with these live service competitive games as they're going on, there is a point of where you're there like, if there's a graph and it goes up and down, everyone has a point of where they go, this was peak.
Yeah.
And it just went downhill from there. But it's not as bad as season 2 was. But we're on season 5 now. It's not season 3, but we're on season 5. It's all right. And then they'll see season 6 is coming out and be there like, maybe we'll get back to season 3 days. And I think that's what everyone's doing with live service games now. They're chasing what was there. Because again, like it's not a live service game, but a good example is Smash Bros. When it came out, everyone was like, "This is great! This is the best game ever." And then Bayonetta was released, and then they had to ban Bayonetta from all of these fighting tournaments because everyone played nothing but her. But I feel like live service games a lot do that. They bring in a new update and they have to make the character really good, otherwise no one's going to buy it, and they need the support to keep the servers online, keep the lights on, my guy. But at the exact same point, because they're constantly changing this game, the game's not the same. So if you were going to be there like, oh, I want to show my kid Counter-Strike, for example, and be like, this is what I used to play when I was young, and the servers may still be online. It's not the same Counter-Strike though as when you were playing. It's an entirely different Counter-Strike now.
However, I can go and download an older version of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, but that's the benefit.
So Counter-Strike specifically has that. And my question is the nostalgia element important to you? Like in general for gaming?
Oh, absolutely. Like even today, we see people playing on emulators for the original Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like people are going back and reliving those experiences. I think you are right that in 20 years' time, we're not going to be able to do the same with the games that we're currently playing that are live service, because that service just isn't going to exist. You're not going to be able to emulate Fortnite.
Yeah.
So that is absolutely going to be a problem.
So I think there is a solution, but it requires the publishers or the devs to be more open and allow us to download like old versions of the game. To allow us to run our own servers for any version of the game. There is a solution. I think because to me the nostalgia element is definitely important. You know, I've grown up with gaming all my life, and I hate to think about the fact that there will be a time when I can't play some of these games that I've poured hours and hours and hours into. I think that it's just a shame, and there is a solution. We won't get it. But
no, I don't think we'll see it.
No, but we could.
Maybe what should happen is that when a live service game says we are ending support, they like release that capability. So like they retain it, they kind of hold it and kind of in this little bubble that's protected by them. But once they say, right, this is end of life now, this is where we say no more support, the game just goes until it dies. They sort of remove that barrier and it's like, do with it what you will.
I think
it's now sort of like public release kind of thing. I think that'd be a good shout.
That would be good. Other companies have done stuff like that. Like id Software. They periodically release the source code for their games. You know, the original Doom open source, many of the Quake engines open source. I imagine at some point we'll see the newer Doom games become open source. Other companies, take note. That's cool. I agree. I think that would be an okay restriction as well for these companies to make, to sort of say, we're not releasing old stuff, we're not releasing any source or anything until we're finished with it. I think that's completely reasonable.
I think as well that sort of helps them in the long run, because say for instance, if it is a game that needed to be paid for initially to play it, maybe not so much in like pre-owned disc markets, but like online stores. Say for instance, 2 years after they let it die, but they open up servers and people are still playing it. Someone can still go, oh, I want to play that, and download it and send them the 15 quid or however how much it is for the game, like, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it'd be because obviously the custom server, somebody's paying for that. So if I were like, if a live service game ended but there was a custom server and I wanted to play it, I'd be more than happy chucking a couple of quid towards that custom server, whether it's £2, £5, you know what I mean? I'd more than happy chuck a couple of quid that way to have that service of keeping that game online in sort of a way that we know it. I mean, all this talk about like live service and games ending reminds me of, it's not quite live service, maybe kind of is, but Flappy Bird. Remember when they pulled that from the market because of they got sued, didn't they?
Oh, was that what happened?
Yeah, they got. I think it was like, I'm sure they got sued by like Mario and all that because of the backgrounds with the pipes, and the hills and that. I'm sure it was something along that lines. It was a copyright.
I thought they got sued because people were punching up each other over the game.
What? I didn't see that. But no, I'm pretty, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure there was some sort of lawsuit over copyright with like the backgrounds and the pipes and stuff. But they pulled it off the market. But if you'd already downloaded it, you still had it. You still got to play it.
I still remember back in the day when they were trying to sell phones, wasn't it? Like, this is a phone with
Flappy Bird on it. People were going mad for it. It's crazy.
You can still install it.
Yeah.
You can download the binaries.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That's a piece of gaming history.
Yeah, of course it is.
Still accessible, just difficult.
Yeah.
Although I don't remember that being the story. My remembering of the story was that the dev was just like, no, I don't want this to be a thing anymore.
No.
I just pulled it.
Can we have...
We'll
have a quick look. So I'm sure there was some sort of lawsuit over
because
it.
I don't remember people punching each other up over it, but I think again, like the developer was there, like, oh, I've watched all these videos of people smashing their phones over it.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, he closed it because people were punching each other over it.
not like somebody was there like, you broke my world record of Flappy Bird. Started throwing hands.
So this is only a very brief search, but the wiki page says that Flappy Bird was removed from the App Store and Google Play in February 2014, with Nguyen claiming he felt guilty of what he considered to be the game's addictive nature and overusage.
There we go.
Okay.
No lawsuits, nothing.
My game is too successful.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that.
People like punching holes in their walls.
I imagine it's one of those things that people were speculating before there was an official statement from the dev.
I'm shocked though. I'm shocked that wasn't the case.
Oh, me too.
Nintendo was so precious about it.
They absolutely are, but are they actually the same assets?
Yeah.
Are they?
No, I don't think. No, I'm not saying as in they are. I mean, they are precious over it, but because they haven't jumped on it, there must have been something different about it that they didn't pursue it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, different enough that it wouldn't hold up. Sort of thing.
That's
because whenever I've seen Nintendo be there, like, we're coming to sue you, they know that they're gonna win.
Yeah.
They got that lawsuit in the bag.
They are not exactly the same graphics. It's just green pipes. That's actually the only thing that's shared.
Which I guess that they're just basically like, you can't copyright just green pipes.
You cannot copyright green pipe. No, that's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, because otherwise, because there's blue and red pipe in Super Mario, so they just Nintendo like, we copyright pipes.
No game is allowed pipe.
Or underwater levels.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Subnautica banned.
But yeah, no, Nintendo, if they're going to sue you, it's 100%. They go to their lawyers first, and their lawyers just look at it and go, yeah, we're winning this. They must have looked at him like, we're not winning this, don't bother.
Yeah.
But I just love that the dev closed the game down because he's there, like, suffering from success.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it'd be like to be in his shoes, like to actually have that genuine guilt of there, like, so many people playing this, it's like taking over the world, seeing it go viral. It's like, this is a problem. Delete.
Side note on mobile gaming, like, what games have you been addicted to? Because I don't think there's any that, obviously I played Flappy Bird, but I don't think I was particularly obsessed with it. I think the only one that I really got into at one point was, I can't remember, it was like this runner game where you swipe, there's like 3 tracks, you swipe left and right, up and down.
I remember.
And it was, Temple Run. When Temple Run first came out, because I think it's, you can still get it, I'm pretty sure. But when it first came out, me and Craig, we used to like compete with each other and like screenshot our high scores and send them back and forth to each other. And then we were doing that. Then friends got involved and like other people were doing it. And it just became a thing about that like competitive gaming of like beating each other's high score.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you guys? What like mobile games have really like gripped you?
I got addicted to like an actual live service Infinite Runner. In that it was an Infinite Runner where it was called Spider-Man Unlimited.
Okay.
And it's actually, you cannot download it anymore. They closed it down. But they would release skins constantly because the whole premise of the game was just the Spider-Man multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
So they released skins upon skins. And sometimes it wasn't even Spider-Man skins. You get like random stuff in there as well. And they'd have events and everything. Like, did you look up how many skins they released for that game?
Was it Spider-Man
Unlimited? But basically, you can't play it anymore unless you already have it downloaded on your phone. But even then, it's dead, basically. but they released so much for that game over like I think 4 years it was running.
You got an exact figure there, Dom?
No, I'm struggling to get one.
Oh, damn.
There's
There's
a list of all the playable
Jeez.
characters.
Oh,
That's
playable characters then.
insane.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I might be playable characters, not skins then, but it's technically they all do the same thing. They swing and
They swing and they run.
They swing and they run. Yeah.
About 122, it looks like.
122. That's quite a bit. That's quite a good bit.
And how long was it out for?
I want to say like 3-4 years.
That's a lot. That's a lot of content.
That's 30 skins.
But they had they had events like every other month as well. Like it was ridiculous.
That's what I want to say about live service. Like, how far detached are we getting with it? Because it always throws me when Fortnite do like these live concerts where they get artists performing, and I'm like, surely that's not what you want from the game or the concert. Do you know what I mean?
Someone must like it.
I
They're popular.
kind of like it. Fortnite has become basically, it's trying to be like Ready Player One.
Yeah,
It's
that's
because
the vibe I get.
I remember going into it and I forgot who it was his name, but he was like a famous Japanese like singer. He sings the intro for Spy Family, Don. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So he had a concert on Fortnite, and I was like, him? There's no way that the generation, like the younger generation, are going to be there like, oh yeah, I know this guy. But I went into the concert area and it was packed. And Sandra was there like, oh, I don't think I've heard this guy. And I was like, I think it's Jen Hashiro. Or that might be a different guy because that guy released Pop Virus and that's one that I liked. But he, if that's the guy, his concert on there was pretty good. They got another guy on there at the moment and they're releasing a skin for him. It's like, it's really fun for me to go on there, especially when I went in on one point, it was the Dragon Ball one.
Yeah.
And they were there like, come do the Dragon Ball event. And it was there like, you had to go through these 3 separate worlds. But the main world was playing the Dragon Ball Super movie. And I was just watching all of these people in their Fortnite characters just sit down, watching the anime. And I was like, I sat there like, what? They just bought the rights to just stream it on Fortnite. So Fortnite is doing the thing of where they're going, again, like I said, they're going the full way with it.
Yeah.
For this live service, they're going, okay, Fortnite's going to have its own cinemas. It's going to have its own concerts. They're trying to, where Meta's failing in making their metaverse, Fortnite is just basically going, no, we're doing it.
Yeah.
But they're not saying that we're going to make our own Fortnite verse where when you log in, you can go to concerts and stuff. But they're quietly doing it.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's good, but I don't think that every live service game should be going for it.
No.
I think Fortnite did it because basically of lockdown, when COVID-19 hit,
I
everyone
actually looked at that.
go on.
But the first Fortnite concert, February 2019,
There we go.
before COVID.
Just before COVID.
Not just
They-
before.
It's
That's like a year before.
Yeah.
So they started off on that, and then COVID hit, and they just doubled down on it. Because what I wanted to say was Warzone released during that, and probably everyone saw that live service release and how successful it was, and they were like, wow, everyone loves live service. We need to make our own live service games, because Ghost Recon tried their own Battle Royale, and everyone said no. So Ubisoft were like, okay, we'll close that. But it's like everyone during that time had so much free time. So it was just easy. You'd wake up, and what would you do? You were stuck at home, so you just play video games if you're a gamer.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, some people worked, unfortunately, but
I worked it.
other people that were blessed, we'll say,
Begs to go off it. They were like, no.
they got to just play the games all the time, and because they had all that free time, playing 16 hours on Call of Duty in one day didn't seem like a pipe dream. It was just it was something you could do, and you could do that for a month. So you could finish the Call of Duty Battle Pass in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now it takes 10 weeks, and a lot of people are probably falling off from these live service games because they're like, oh, I wanted to play God of War Ragnarok today, but I can't, because if I play 10 hours of God of War Ragnarok, I can't spend the 10 hours on, say, Fortnite or Apex or Warzone or any of the other live service games that you're trying to earn this stuff from.
Well, you've done it before, haven't you? Where we've been like, oh, Lincoln, do you want to play this game tonight? You're like, I can't, guys, because I need to go on Kenshin and get these things. Otherwise, if I don't do this now, I can't get it tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't get it tomorrow. And it came to the point of where after a while, I was like, I need to cut down on my live service games. And when I realized I needed to cut down on live service games, I was like, right, cool. I'm not going to play Fortnite as much because I need to dedicate that time to Apex.
I think a lot of them are just a lifestyle choice at some point.
Yeah.
There's a point where it becomes like a need. Like, you're like, I need to do this because I need to get this next thing.
Yeah, I do think MMOs in particular, like, I, for one, I was at the point where I was on like 3, and then I just didn't, like, I was fighting with myself, like, which one needed my time, basically.
Yeah.
And, like, trying to manage my skill queues on Eve to, like, raiding with friends on Final Fantasy, and, like, it's just trying to balance it. So you just kind of think, right, I'm not gonna, I restrict myself to one MMO at a time, and if I'm bored or I'm sort of burnt out on that, I'll be like, right, that subscription will end, and I'll renew my subscription elsewhere and sort of jump back and forth, but I don't run them side by side anymore. It's just impossible.
I think that's why you see a lot of the live service games. They like come with like a lot of popularity and then they die really quickly. Say like multiverses, because after a while, it is you. If the best way I can describe it, say like for multiverses, is once you start playing it and everybody's new at it, it doesn't matter if you're making mistakes.
Yeah.
Because you might make a mistake, but then your opponent might make the same mistake as well, and then you're back at square one. But then once the game's been out for a month, all of the people who have clicked with it and gotten good at it, and they know the hitboxes, they know all of this stuff, they start pushing those people out of the game, because then other people might be there like, oh, I wanted to come on and just have a bit of fun. But then because of the way matchmaking systems are, if there's only 500 people playing, you're going to get paired up against whoever is queuing, and you might get put up against somebody who's really good at the game. And then that will just keep reducing the player count until only the really die-hard veterans of the game are still left.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult problem to solve as well, I think.
Yeah.
Because Splitgate tried.
Yeah.
By
Splitgate
introducing
tried.
bot. I really liked Splitgate, but it also just dropped its appeal quite quickly for me.
Yeah.
And I think from my perspective, it was because I sucked at it. I sucked at the portal elements, and other people were good at it, and they ranked me, and I was like, I don't want to play this anymore.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? No, they tried to mask the player-based problem by introducing bots into matches and not even telling you. Like, they gave them believable-ish names. You just got used to them after a while, like, oh, these are all bots. But it still died.
Yeah.
I think that's not something that every live service game struggles with, though, because obviously PvE games where you're not, like, because Splitgate, obviously you just go in, you play a match, and you know. I think PvE, because like when I played Anthem or Destiny 2, when that became free to play, it's kind of like, yeah, I started in that one, but I wasn't getting bodied because all the computer enemies that I was facing were all my level anyway. So like those ones where it's like, it's kind of single player, kind of not sort of thing, where you could play it single player if you wanted to. I don't think those ones struggle with it. I think what those struggle with, though, is actually having decent content and a gameplay loop. Yeah. Whereas the gameplay loop on like Splitgate or like an Overwatch on Apex is really easy in that it's just, you know, you go in, you play a match, come back out, queue in for your next match. Whereas on like Destiny but Destiny's really popular. Destiny manages it.
Destiny's really popular though from its PvP perspective, because a lot of people also are doing, even with the PvE, they're doing raids, and everyone's loved that for ages. I know when I went on to, because an example of something that doesn't do it well is say like Warframe, because Warframe is basically like Destiny, but if you were there like, I'm strictly here for nothing more than the single player content, I don't want to play with people.
Yeah.
It is just basically, you land and they go to this point, defend it, go to this point, defend it, go to this point, defend it, or kill a bunch of enemies. That's just it. And that's every single mission.
Yeah.
And similar for Destiny, to be honest.
Well, that was the issue I had with Avengers. Everyone hated that game, but I actually kind of enjoyed it. I did play it for quite a while. But again, I think it was, for me, that was the novelty of, I'm playing as the Avengers. But I think once I played a bunch of missions and every mission was the same, in the, again, it was either like, go here, defend this position, go here, kill this specific amount of enemies, or like, go here and keep control of these 3 points. After doing that for a while, and also you do hit a point where if you're not playing it consistently and regularly, you do hit a point in the leveling system where, because obviously as you level up, you need more and more like sort of XP to level up in it. So you get to a point where if you're not playing it consistently, you just don't level up anymore. And I think I reached that point where I was like, I want to play other games as well. I'm not like dedicating all my time to this.
Yeah.
But also I was kind of like, I'm playing it and it's the same every time. It's the same objectives every time. I'm just getting bored.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just doing my head in. So like, I feel like that's why like competitive games that are like live service, like Apex and Overwatch, that's why I think it's so easy for them to keep players, because they know they just going in there because they want to be competitive, because they want to
win.
Like you said, you just want to dunk on people.
I do, yeah.
So like, I think that's where, and the cosmetics are like just a plus, or like just for the people who want to collect stuff. Whereas in like PvE games, a lot of the time it is just the progression that keeps you going. Whereas the actual gameplay is just crap.
Yeah. It's difficult. Right, I think that's all we have time for today, guys. Thank you again for tuning into the Breakfast Wrap-Up. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And as always, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.